Good evening to you all present with us here today. I, Rotaractor Vartika Shalya, President-elect, Rotaract Club of Noida Youth, welcome you all to the fourth session of Rotaract Talks, Winning versus Succeeding, What Should We Aim For? I am glad to have with us Ms. Shreya Nandy, our speaker for the day, Rotaractors from Pune Hillside, our partner club, and Rotarian DP Goyal sir, along with you all. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce Ms. Shreya formally. Ms. Shreya completed her course in neurobiology and study of human behavior from Arizona State University, USA. During her time at the university, Ms. Shreya participated and won the national and international rounds at Intel Initiative for Research and Innovation in Science competition and also in International Science and Engineering Fest. She has also been on the panel of judges of the same competitions in 2016, 2017, and 2019. Currently, Ms. Shreya is working as a researcher and innovator in the US, and she plans to go to Trinity College Dublin for her further studies in the field of medicine. I'd like to welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vartika. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
You're welcome, ma'am, and I request you to please begin with the session.
Okay, sure. So hi everyone, my name is Shreya, and like Vartika introduced me, I completed my undergrad studies from Arizona State University, and my major was in neurobiology, and that is what I did. So without wasting any further time, I will get into what I have to talk about today, and then we can discuss what I did and how I did, and let's get started. So I'll just share my screen. Let's see. Can the host allow me to share my screen, please? Okay, thank you. So can you all see my screen? Okay. So good evening, everyone, and welcome again. This is the topic we'll be talking about today, winning versus succeeding. What should we aim for? And I'm Shreya. I completed my undergraduate studies at Arizona State University and will be going to Trinity College Dublin School of Medicine. I will just go through how will today's presentation flow and what will go next and how do we plan our next 1 hour. So what I'll do is I'll tell a little about myself and what I did, how I did, and then we'll get into today's discussion. I will be taking a psychological approach to this topic, and we will be going over some real life experiments and phenomena that happens to all of us sometime or the other. So we'll be discussing that together. And at the end, I would like to conclude with what can be done, how to identify situations, and how to go further. Okay, so let's get started. Um, Undergrad from Arizona State University and completed my pre-medical education. So I wanted to become a doctor, and in the US, it works very different from what it is in India. In India, to become a doctor, you first need to complete your MBBS studies, and then you do an MD, and then you become a doctor. But in the United States, it works very different. It is first you complete your pre medical studies. It is like a foundation course that you do in order to become a doctor or a nurse or a physician assistant or a veterinary doctor or a dentist. So this is the foundation course for all healthcare systems that is available in the US, and that is a prerequisite to get into any of these courses. So that is what I did. Since I did not take a conventional path to medicine, this is what I did. I completed my pre-medicine from ASU, and I graduated from ASU last year in 2019, and I recently got an acceptance from Trinity College Dublin School of Medicine for my further studies. So I should be joining as soon as this pandemic is over and we welcome the new normal. So how did I actually end up going to ASU? That is what I'm going to talk about, because I never thought I'd be going abroad and doing my undergraduate studies when I was in high school, or even during my during my entirety of my schooling. But I did something in my 11th grade, which is what Vartika talked about in her introduction. I participated at IRIS. It is known as Initiative for Research and Innovation in Science. It is a national science fair where young innovators and scientists send their abstracts to get selected to participate at the National Science Fair. At the science fair, I won the first award, which is the gold medal. And here's a picture of me with Vidhu Vinod Chopra, the producer of Munna Bhai MBBS and Lagera Munna Bhai and so many other movies. After I won this award, I was selected. This is the second step to this. I went on to participate at Regeneron's ICEF, which is International Science and Engineering Fair. This is my partner Kopal. We actually developed something together for which we were selected to go to ICEF, and we won the fourth grand award in the category of chemistry at ICEF, and also a special award by Arizona State University in the field of sustainability. So that is how ASU got to know me, and therefore they invited me to complete my undergraduate studies there with a full tuition scholarship. And this is the kit that I and my friend Kopal developed for detection and removal of pesticides from the surface of fruits and vegetables. This kit is right now in the patent process, and we are trying to get a patent for it. It takes a while. So we've been waiting that for a long time, but yes, we should have that soon. If you have any questions about me or my kit or anything, feel free to message me, email me after this. I'll be happy to talk about it. Okay, so let's get started with today's discussion. So today what we are going to do is not a motivational speech or talk. I am not motivating anybody here to do this and this is the right way, do that, that is the right way. No. I am going to tell you real life facts and experiments that will be backed up by psychology. So psychology is a science, and whatever I say today will be backed up by psychology. And and don't think that whatever I tell you have to do it. It is just a suggestion. So feel free to take it or don't. Like if it doesn't work for you, it's totally fine. But this is what it is. I will not be giving a motivational talk. It is all about science. So getting into our topic, what is winning or to win? And in my bullet point, I've said that winning is very subjective. By subjective, what I mean is that it differs for different people. It is not the same for everyone. For somebody, winning might be to win a tournament, or somebody else, winning might be to win an argument, or for somebody who has not been able to study, say, for 2 days, studied today for 3 hours, that is a win. So, how do I define winning or to win? The definition I'm going to present right now is my definition. This is what I have gathered from all the definitions I've read, I've heard. So this is just a compilation of that. That winning is gaining or resulting in something which an individual wants. So if I want a trophy from the tournament and I gain that, it's a win. If I am getting a satisfaction after leading an argument, that is a win. So I'm gaining something. And if I result in gaining some knowledge from the 3 hours of study that I did today, that is a win. So this is how I define win, to gain or in resulting in something. To win, there are two things which are very important and have been seen consistently in the history. What is very important? First is interest. Interest is to like something, that I like painting. And passion is that what I develop over my interest. That is, if I like painting, maybe I'll go to an art exhibition to see what's going on. And maybe I'll go bring some artistic stuff, decorate in my house, and appreciate that. So that these two things are very important in winning, because say if I want to win a chess tournament, I should first like the game. Second, I should have a passion to go out and maybe play that game. But what is success? Again, success is very subjective. Both winning and success differs for every person. Success can be different for people. As for somebody, success can be to buy their dream house or buy their dream car. For somebody else, success might be to go on a world tour. Or for somebody else, success might be to win a Nobel Prize one day. How do I define success then? Success is the ultimate goal one aspires for. But that doesn't mean, if I'm talking about ultimate goals, that doesn't mean that you can just have one ultimate goal in your lifetime. No, you can have multiple ultimate goals in different parts of your life. You can have a professional ultimate goal. You can have a personal ultimate goal. You can have an ultimate goal in your relationship. This is how success works. It is usually an ultimate goal that we have for our lives. The difference between winning and success here is the addition of one more thing, which is known as the grit. And grit is built over passion. Now, what is grit? Grit is knowing that you will be failing, or knowing that you are failing, or knowing that not maybe it is not going to go right. It will be very difficult. Even after knowing so many things, you don't give up and you still continue on that path. That is called grit. And grit is required for success. So, what should I aim for, winning or success? According to me, winning is a part of success. So, you cannot be like, okay, I'm just going to go to success directly and finish it off and okay, I'm done. Or I'm just going to chase the small wins. Wins is very, how should I explain? Like the winning part is very temporary. You go, you do something, you win, you get that satisfaction, you come back. But success is something where you have accumulated your wins and then reached a particular point where you can say, yes, you are successful. To this, I would like to say something, that is, if we look at all the successful people we know from our history, say Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, when they reached their success point, if they looked around themselves, they were not alone. They had a group of people supporting them, and they were always backed up by people. But winning, after you win a competition, you'll realize on the stage that you are alone. People will be clapping for you, but you will be alone on the stage. That is the difference. Success is collaborative. You bring people up with you, but winning is usually for yourself. So that brings me to my next section. Are you chasing your goals or are you chasing yourself? The biggest factor that comes in winning is competition. It is, so how do I define competition? It is when you're chasing yourself. It is usually paired with defeating others or pushing them back. But there's something also known as healthy competition. When you are chasing your goal, paired with uplifting others, helping them in their goals, and getting help from for yourself when required. So in the picture below, I have this, like the circle with like arrows in it. That is when we are chasing yourself. You're not going anywhere with it. You just you're not reaching your goal ever. You'll just go in that circular fashion forever, just to think that you're winning and getting those temporary satisfactions by winning, but you're not reaching your goal. But in a healthy competition, when you want to succeed and help others succeed in their journeys, you uplift them, you will reach your goal sooner, because they will help you frame your way and you are helping them frame their way. This is how competition affects our growth. So now I will be jumping into a section. This is my favorite section from the presentation. I call it "When Life Gives Us Lemons, How to Make a Lemonade." So what do I mean by this? I mean, sometimes it's possible that you are doing something and you feel stuck. You don't know what to do further. Situations are not in favor of you. This is what you're feeling right now. And maybe like all kind of things that are pushing you back from your goal. So this part, when this happens, you feel very sour, you feel very bitter. Know that this is when life is giving you lemons, and how to make a lemonade is what we'll learn today. So maybe write down the recipes, that will be helpful. So we will be going over some psychological experiments that play a huge role in our lives. The thing with psychology is it's so vast and it's so amazing that I it was very difficult for me to choose particular experiments for this discussion. But I chose top four according to me, which were the most relevant in our lives, and almost we all have had an experience with them. So we will be going over it together, and we will be learning about Jim. He's my character, and he'll be telling us how what he faced in his life and how he turned the lemons into a lemonade. So everyone, please meet Jim. And he is a third year art student, and he loves graphic designing. He totally loves graphic designing. So since he's in the third year and he'll be getting over with his studies soon, he wants to do an internship, and so does everybody else in his class. So what happens is that his professor asks him and other classmates to gather in one room and tell him one by one what internship would they like to do. So everybody goes into one class, sits down, and the professor starts to ask. To Jim's surprise, what happens is that every person in his class answers that they want to do an internship in fashion designing. And Jim gets very confused, but he really likes graphic designing. So, what happens is that when the professor asks him, "What would you like to do, Jim? What internship would you like to do?" He answers that he would like to do fashion designing, which is very weird because he loves graphic designing. So let's see, why did he actually end up answering fashion designing when he loves graphic designing so much? This has happened to all of us sometime or the other. I'm sure you will be able to identify yourself with this, and yeah, you will be able to identify, and you will be able to understand what happened and why Jim chose fashion designing instead of graphic designing. So this experiment is known as Ash conformity experiment. The experimenter for this experiment was Dr. Solomon Ash. What he did was he flashed these two pictures with line X and line ABC on the screen, and he invited a group of students for an IQ test. They were told that they will be taking an IQ test. So when all the students sat, there was one person, say person A, he comes in and he sits with the other students, but he didn't know that all the other students except him are the researchers associates. So what happened? He sat with the group and he's looking at those pictures with line X and line ABC. So they knew that they were taking an IQ test. So the researcher asks everyone to answer whether the line X coincided best with which of the other three lines, A, B, or C. It is so obvious in the picture that line X coincides with line C. So what happened? For the first few trials, for 10 trials, everybody was giving the correct answer. That line X coincided with line C, and and it went on. And so the subject A, like the person A, was very confident. Okay, yeah, I got this. I know and I'm doing fine. I have a good IQ. After some time, what happened? That all the associates started giving wrong answers. They started saying that line X coincides with maybe line A or line B. So for the person A gets very confused. He's like, but I can clearly see that that's not the case. So what he does is that he keeps quiet at that time. And when the researcher asks him, what is your answer? Guess what? He answers the correct answer is line B. Why does he do so? This is because of the conformity experiment, that the result of this experiment was people tend to conform more when they are in a group. Larger the group, more likely an individual is to conform. By conform, I mean to go with the flow. They feel judged. Okay, maybe I'm not smart enough, maybe I don't know what's going on, maybe I can't see that clearly, maybe ask something else. So something was okay. I can see some drawings on my presentation. Can somebody help me with that? um yeah, and then once this is done, I'll continue. So till that is fixed, I'll just continue. So people are likely to conform more when there are more people around them, and they will just say things just to avoid that embarrassment for the time being. So that is why Jim, just for that time, said he wanted to do fashion designing, because everybody else in the class ended up saying fashion designing. Now, for a surprise, after a month, you visit Jim and you see that Jim is actually working for an internship which is for fashion designing. Again, you ask Jim what's going on, and he doesn't know why he chose a fashion designing internship when he was not at all interested in one. This is known as the bandwagon effect, when you tend to follow others just for the sake of it. So this is a very famous saying. We all kids have heard it at least once in our lifetime from our parents or friends, कि तुम्हारा दोस्त कुएं में कूदेगा तुम भी कूदोगे क्या? So for that time we're like, nahi, obviously nahi. But we actually end up doing that so many times that we don't even realize. So this is known as bandwagon effect, where since people are just doing something, that is why we end up following them. This tactic has been used so many times in politics and buying behaviors. Political rallies, big example of bandwagon effect, where people will just join in the rally just because they're having fun, not because they actually support the political party. Second, buying behaviors. All advertisements are constructed in that way to make us buy stuff. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend this toothpaste. 9 out of 10 mothers recommend this soap. This is not how it works. We have not seen a single statistics explaining us that. But we will be like, oh, maybe our mothers will be like, oh, maybe I'm a bad mother if I don't end up buying that soap. Maybe I should go because everybody else is doing that, or maybe I should buy that toothpaste because it's really effective. But we don't know that is how advertisements and political parties use these tactics to get votes out of us or get money out of us. That is why it is also important to for us to surround ourselves with good and positive people, because we end up becoming good. If they're bad, we end up becoming bad. And by good and bad, we know what is good and bad. I'm not going to explain like what is good for you or what is good for me or whatever. This is the example of the rock. What happens with a rock? If you pour a glass of water on a rock for one day, nothing will happen to the rock. But if you continue doing so for maybe like for a month, every day, continuously, you will realize the rock is changing. The rock changes its shape, it becomes smaller. That is how bandwagon effect works. That is what happened to Jim. He ended up joining fashion designing because all his friends were joining fashion designing. Okay, so after that, what happens? He joins the firm and he realizes that it's an unpaid internship. We all know what's the pain of an unpaid internship. And then what happens is that he is made to work so hard first. Second, he's not even interested in that subject that much. What happens now? He becomes sad. That takes me to my next psychological phenomena, which is known as cognitive dissonance. So once he is in the firm and he's working there for a month, you go and ask Jim, how is the work going? He'll be like, you know what? I actually love this place. And you'll be shocked. Like, okay, this is not his field. Second, he said he doesn't like graphic designing. Sorry, he doesn't like fashion designing. They're not even paying him, and he's saying that he loves this. How is it possible? So this is how cognitive dissonance works. Dissonance means a conflict in our mind where when we are not able to settle two things like our action and our belief, then there's a dissonance, an inconsistency in our mind. So like in the picture you can see the action for Jim was to work so hard in that firm for so many months, and his belief was to get some money instead, or like maybe at least appreciation for what he's doing, but that was not happening. So it created an inconsistency in his mind which led to dissonance, the conflict. When this happens, three things happen. First is change in belief. Change is belief that at least like you're trying to give yourself some so that you make yourself feel better. Like change in belief, like at least I'm getting some experience. That's fine. Or change in action where you feel that you know what, I'm just going to leave this job or leave this internship after a few days because this is not my cup of tea or this is not what I deserve. Third is change action perception, which happens the most, which means that you change your perception for your action. You end up liking something that you disliked for so long. You're like, you know what? Actually, this is not that bad. In order to reduce your dissonance, your brain likes to be at an equilibrium, and it doesn't like to be in a conflict mode. And when that happens, you like we all go crazy. So it tries to reduce its dissonance by giving explanations to itself. Mostly that's why change in action perception happens, which is you end up liking something which probably you didn't like earlier. In this experiment, what happened was there were two groups. One group was paid $20 to turn pegs. The pegboard, like the picture of the pegboard is on this slide. All they had to do was just turn the pegs for 30 minutes straight. So the first group got $20 to do that, and the second group got $1 to do the same experiment. And at the end, they were told to go outside and tell the other participant how did they feel about the experiment. When people from group one went outside and told the other participant how they felt, they said it was the shittiest thing I've ever done, or this is the worst thing, this was so boring. But to a surprise, people who were paid less, just $1 for turning the pegs for 30 minutes, they ended up saying this was the most interesting experiment I've ever done. Again, dissonance. Action was to turn pegs, belief was to get more money. Dissonance happened. Inconsistency. Change in belief was I will leave this. This was change in action. I will leave this activity and just go. Change in belief was maybe at least I'm getting $1 for this. And change in action perception was this is the best thing ever. This is the best experiment I have ever taken part in. That is how they reduce the dissonance. That is what happened to Jim. When they asked, how are you feeling in your internship? They said that I'm loving it because it is so good. But he didn't have an answer that why is he liking it? Because of cognitive dissonance. I even have a personal example for cognitive dissonance. That is when I went to the United States initially. There was a pizza restaurant right next to my house, and I really wanted to try that pizza. And I paid a good amount for that pizza and brought it home and took the first bite. And I was like, this is disgusting. This is not at all what it was like in India. This pizza is so bad. But it did not even take me a month to actually loving that pizza, and till date it's my favorite pizza. How does that happen? Is that I was paying money for it and my belief was it is bad. Dissonance occurred. I could change three things. First, change belief that at least I'm getting something to eat. Second, that I will not buy from this place anymore. And the third was maybe this is not that bad. And that is how I reduced my dissonance. So coming back to Jim, he actually ends up liking his internship. Now he's been into his internship for 3 months, and he gets an opportunity to be the main lead for a graphic designing team. And guess what? He says no to that opportunity. Why? Because of something known as learned helplessness experiment. I would really appreciate if somebody could remove those marks from the presentation. That would really help. But if it's not happening, it's okay. So, learned helplessness experiment. This was conducted by Martin Seligman, and he was initially studying classical conditioning. So, classical conditioning is a psychological experiment. I am pretty hopeful many of you might have heard of Pavlov's dogs. So what he was doing was he was replicating Pavlov's dog's experiment. So what Pavlov did, like a different scientist, Ivan Pavlov, what he did was he, um, okay, um, I will share my screen again. I think. Can you see my screen? Okay. So what Pavlov did was study classical conditioning by making a dog associate his food with a bell. So whenever the dog heard the bell, he thought he's getting food and he would start to salivate. That means saliva would start to form in his mouth. So he associated bell. So every time a bell was rung, even he was not presented with food, he would think he would get food and would start to salivate. This is known as conditioning when you associate a totally different stimuli from a different stimuli. So stimulus from a different stimulus. So what happens in this experiment? Pavlov's was a very interesting and positive experiment because the dog was given food. But what Selman did was a little unethical, but still, he put a dog in a cage, and the cage was closed, and the cage had a lining of electric wires. And every time he was presented with a bell or a light, he would get a light electric shock from the cage. And the dogs learned to associate the bell with the electric shock. So that was the result of Seliman's initial first round of experiment, that dogs actually end up learning um, negative things, start associating negative things too with the same stimuli. So for one, it can be food, for other, it can be electric shocks. So what he did next, he created a chamber. It is in my PowerPoint, like you can see in the slide, the picture. He created another chamber with a panel in it. Now, the one side of the panel was the shock area and the other was no shock. He put the same dogs inside the shock area, gave the same stimuli of the bell. The dogs, what were they supposed to do? They should just have jumped over the panel and saved themselves from some shocks. But instead, to his surprise, the dogs ended up sitting at the same place, did not even move, and kept getting electric shocks. Sullivan was very confused. Why didn't they save themselves from the electric shock? So what he did, he bought a new set of dogs and put them in the second chamber for the second experiment with the panel in it. And when he did the same experiment, the new fresh set of dogs, what they did, whenever they were presented with electric shock, they would jump over the panel and go to the no shock area. So what the result was, the dogs who had learned to be helpless for the light shocks, they did not even try to help themselves when they could. Similarly, that is what happened to Jim. He was in an unhappy place. He could not get out of it. He was helpless for such a long time. He wanted to do graphic designing. He had given up hope. So when he even got an opportunity to do what he liked, he ended up refusing it because he had learned to be helpless for so long. So this is what Jim's story is all about. And these were my main four experiments. Okay. Um, so I'm coming to the end of my discussion soon. So at the end of this, it is you who should choose what to aim for. I will give you a few tricks and tips for the lemonade. That is, first, identify and understand situations. It is very important to identify the situation you are in, because you are the best judge of what is happening to you. Nobody can tell you, because you are going through that. And understand what is happening. Don't give up that time, just understand. These are two different things: identification and understanding. Identifying that maybe I'm going through a cognitive dissonance, and it is fine to use psychological terms, because this is science. You can say that I am suffering through a disease, like that, when you say that. But if it's cognitive, it's not disease. It's a phenomena which happens very commonly and to all of us. So identify, maybe I'm going through cognitive dissonance, and understand what can I do now. Instead of maybe liking that fact, sometimes it's positive, you end up liking something nice. But if it's negative, I think we should work towards it. And how to do that is the second thing that we'll talk about, is self talk. Self talk is an essential part of our daily routine, because that helps us to introspect ourselves. You just talk to yourself, what is going on, what went right, what didn't go right. Like, maybe in the day, I think I did this well, I didn't do this well, or some, just plan it out. What happens is that sometimes our problems in our head get so big that we cannot focus on one particular thing, and we get overwhelmed and we just shut down, and we are so unproductive that day. Instead, when we self talk, we can make points. For example, say I have an animal behavior assignment due tomorrow night at 9 p.m., and I have a psychology assignment due on Friday, or something like that, and I have a assignment due today. So these are three things that are going in my mind, and if I think about it just like that, it will overwhelm me. Oh my god, I have so many things to do, I don't have time. But when you plan it out and you see that, okay, I do have some time for tonight's assignment, then I have an entire day for tomorrow's assignment, and then I have an entire week maybe for the third assignment. Planning out helps. Planning out will help you to be more organized, and will keep you less will not give you stress and keep you calm. Third is follow your instincts. Instincts are 100% correct. Not even 99%, then 100%. If you are getting a bad feeling from something, probably go away. If you are getting a good feeling from something, do it. If you don't like an internship you are in, probably that's not the one for you. Follow your instincts. It will always help. Fourth is let it go. You have to let go of some things that we basically get so attached to. Some things, maybe our older selves, we fear change. Sometimes it's good to let it go. Let go of bad people, let go of unrealistic dreams, maybe. Let go, let go, let go. That helps. Fifth is embrace what you have achieved. So if you studied for 3 hours today and you feel that you deserve an ice cream, then you do. Go get a cup of ice cream, you deserve it. Last is celebrate your wins and successes. Be it the smallest of the dreams and the largest of the successes, celebrate. That is what is going to keep you motivated for the next. Okay, I'm looking forward to this. That is why celebration is so important. There's nobody to celebrate with you during your lockdown. That's fine. I'll celebrate myself. Have a Zoom party. That is fun. Okay. So these are a few questions I had. Um, like basically, I received from Vartika before I started my presentation. This was from the Google Forms you filled. So the first question was: are sacrifices necessary to achieve your goals in life? Absolutely. No replacement for sacrifices, because sacrifices makes your goal or your fruit very sweet. And once you reach where you have to reach after sacrificing something, you know that it was worth it. It was totally worth it. I have sacrificed so many things that I can't even name. My parents have sacrificed so many things that they don't tell me, but I know that they have sacrificed so much. I went to the United States all alone when I was just 18 years old. Nobody there to support me. That was a big sacrifice to even decide that I'll go out. Sacrifices aren't necessary. But now I know what change I have seen in myself in 4 years. I'm telling you, and I'll be totally honest, I this was not the platform I could ever speak at all. And this is the biggest change. Okay, the second question was: do other people actually define your measures of success? The answer is it depends. If the people you're talking about here are those who are never there during your failures and over there and always there for your party, for your successes and your achievements, they cannot define your measures of success. The people who can define it actually are your mentors or your teachers or maybe your friends or parents or whosoever who has walked that journey with you, who has traveled, maybe left that journey and traveled with you, like I said, collaboratively, to put you somewhere. They can define, they have the right, because you have trusted in them, you have given them the right to help you to navigate your path. They can define your measures, no one else. But your goal should be defined by you, that I want to reach there, now help me. That should be defined by you. But measures, okay, this is good, now what, this is good, now what, this can not be defined by people who were never there with you during your failures, but only during a success, but your mentors can. The third question was: what is the right way to succeed in our aim? So this has a very funny answer actually. Sometimes the left way is the right way, and the right way is the wrong way. So, like again, I said, success is very subjective. For me, it will be totally different. For you, it will be totally different. So I am no one to tell you what is your right way. You should be deciding. But the best way I can suggest you what to do is to do a hit and trial method. Scientists always do that. Hit something. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, fine, I'll start over. That is how it works. You'll hit the right path eventually. And the last question was: what should be your success mantra? Actually, I made a slide for this question. So this is what I follow. So winners focus on winning and losers focus on the winner. If you can see the picture, this is what happens mostly. If somebody received a diamond really quick in their journey, we leave our journey and try to follow their steps and, oh, what did you do? तूने क्या किया था? मुझे बता, मैं तेरे को follow करूँ. Like that. This is not, your journey is your journey. Your story is your story. What will you tell in your TED talk? That I followed somebody else's journey and I reached here? That never works. You have to tell that I did this and this is how it works. And I have another quote here. Actually, my friend told me about this quote, and I was really excited to share this. And this is what it is: there are two kinds of people, those who do the work and those who take the credit. Try to be in the first group, there is less competition there, because credit takers will always be there. You do your hard work, and they'll be like, I'm taking your credit. But remember, from Three Idiots, Rancho, that is Funsuk Wangru did all the work, and Rancho, the original Rancho, took all his credit. But who was more famous at the end? Funsuk Wangru was. So this is how it works. Okay, so coming to the end of my presentation, I'm pretty hopeful that we will be having some feedback forms sent at the end of this. Feel free to answer them and give me any suggestions, and ideas are always welcome. I am thirsty for suggestions and ideas. They keep me going, they keep me motivated. So I would love those, and please let me know what would you like to hear from me the next time if we do have a session too. In the feedback form, you can let me know what worked, what didn't work, what could have gone better, what was not that good, and we'll try to fix that and be even helpful. And these are a few organizations that I mentioned during my presentation. I would like to thank Rotary International and Rotary Club of Noida, who provided me with this opportunity to speak at this platform, and I'm very grateful for that. And here are a few of my contact information. There's my LinkedIn, my Instagram, and my email ID. Feel free to email me with questions, concerns, comments, your success stories. I love success stories. They make me happy. Your failure stories, they make me motivated. I would love to hear anything you have to tell me. And here are a few of my references that I used during the presentation. Thank you, and I'm open to questions.
Yeah, so I request all the participants, if you have had any questions, you can please write them in the chat box and Shreya will take them up.
Okay. Um,
So any questions or anything that you have? So by the time you all are writing your question, I have a question. So I'll ask you that, Shreya. So my question was regarding self-talk.
okay.
So how does self-talk help? Could you please elaborate on that?
Okay, so self talk. This is a little tricky because you have to get into used to of it, but it helps once you are in it. Okay, self talk is talking, like it says, talking to self. We might look crazy sometimes talking to ourselves like that, but how it helps, I can say in points. First, it clears your mind of what you want to do and what's going on. Second, it helps you organize that I would like to do this. Third, it helps you understand and identify situations. Like I said, you can understand what's going on with you. Fourth, very important, makes you realize whether you can do this alone or you need somebody's help, because we get stuck and we are not gods or any we don't have any special powers, but it is important to realize that we need help and we might need help. This is how self talk helps. So now if you ask me, how do I self talk, I usually either sit with a diary and then start writing what is in my mind, and that is how it helps.
Okay, so probably I think the idea is of self-talk would be different. So I remember my idea of self-talk is generally sitting in front of the mirror and literally talking to myself with all my
That works.
expressions.
So this is my way. This is my way. So my way can be totally different from your way. So, and that if it works for you, it works. The idea is just to talk to yourself. That's it.
Okay, so there's a question that we have from Rishabh. How
Okay.
can you discover the interest area? Because once you develop dissonance, it becomes difficult to get out of the situation and stop exploring the other areas, which can be the real area.
Like in Jim's case, like how he was unable to. Actually, I cannot see his question, but yeah. So what I'm getting, I will just rephrase what you said. So if you
Okay.
are basically stuck somewhere and it is so difficult to get out of something, how do you do that? Knowing that you cannot get out of it anymore. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll just make you the just a second.
Okay, how can you discover the interest area? Because once you develop dissonance, it becomes difficult to get out of the situation and stop exploring the other areas, which can be the real area. All the time. This happens all the time. How do you discover the interest area? Answer is hit and trial. This is the only answer what you can do. It never comes out in the first try, because as humans we have so many varied interests that you cannot never say that I am interested in this but not in this. And you get sometimes due to fluke also and due to pressure and all, you get into something that you might feel that this is not like I'm not liking it anymore. So the pattern in India is very different, but in United States, I would just mention it because we are the change makers and we can change our systems. What happens in the United States is that the 4 years that I completed for pre-med, for example, in my third year, I realized that I did not like pre-medicine. I can leave it and do whatever I want. I can go to fashion designing from a medicine field. I can change from an engineering to a law field. It is that varied in the United States. In India, we are very rigid because we follow the United Kingdom pattern, and over there it's like they give you set things. If you're becoming a doctor or lawyer or engineer, you have a timetable, you follow that. This is not how it works in the United States. But how do I cope all these things here, since this is not the pattern? First, finish whatever you're doing. Finish the internship, finish the degree, because that is important. Don't leave that in the middle. I know Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates did, but they were dropouts from Harvard. That is the difference. But I'm not saying you're less than that. The thing is, complete what you did, whatever you're doing, then introspect and get into field. In India, you have that choice that even my father did that. He completed occupation therapy and then he did psychology. Those are two different things. So complete your degree, then go into something that you really like. So I know it's not possible from an engineering degree to go to law, like directly. We'll have to repeat stuff, but whatever you studied never goes waste. It will come back. It will come back handy. So just finish what you did and then get into it. It is difficult. It is difficult, but if you're choosing to go on that path, it will be worth it when you reach it. When you reach and you see that so many people are applauding for you for your success, collaborating. Okay, so I think,
There's another question
yeah.
from Som Sundarajan.
Yeah. So when did you say the person is succeeded? Because there is no end for the success of person's life. When the person succeeded in one thing, he or she want to go for other one. So according to you, is there an end for the success? No. Like I said, success doesn't mean just one ultimate goal and then that's over. You can have multiple and continuing things. Otherwise, there will be nothing to look forward to. What do I wake up for the next day if I've achieved everything today? You can have multiple successes, and that is amazing. I would love to see multiple successes, because those people end up becoming leaders who actually plan to have success after success after success, and not just I've done this and I'm done in life. Okay, I've reached where I am. Okay.
I think
I
success, as you said, is pretty much subjective.
Yes.
I mean, success would, I would say that, maybe for someone, success might be exceeding in a particular field, whereas for somebody
Very
else, it
right.
might be maybe managing a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, I mean, in my perspective, I would say it depends more on the person himself, that if the person is content, I think they can measure their success that ways.
Right, right, very right. Okay, Kavisha Shah, working on something since 3 years, but there is no growth and unable to find the other part. How do I work on this? I would tell you something. There is a statistics. I don't have it right now with me, but if Kavisha is interested, I can send it to her after that. Every 7 days, situation changes. Every 7 days. So if you are stuck in something for more than 7 days, probably you're missing out on opportunities that you can't see because of learned helplessness. We have learned to be helpless. We have accepted the fact that I cannot get out of this. We don't even look for opportunities. So like she says, working on something since 3 years, that is a long time, but there is no growth. Depends on many things. Now first, do you like what you're doing? Growth is secondary, but are you liking? So if I'm, for example, I don't do this, but if I'm a painter and I'm doing like a painting exhibition every month and just doing this for the entire 3 years, I'm not growing. I'm where I am, but do I like it? First, answer that. Second, and unable to find the other path. Second, realize what is your other path. What do you want to do? Do you want to have, like, either you're doing group exhibition, so is, are you wanting to do your own exhibition one day? What is your other path? Find out that. Okay. The third thing is, you have to have a plan. Step 1, this. Step 2, this. Step 3, and you can change your steps as and when you reach that particular step, you can change your steps if that is not working. But grit comes in. You know that you will fail, you know it is not going to be very difficult, you know it is probably the hardest thing you've ever done, but don't give up. Don't give up. I hope that answers your question, Kavisha. If not, I'll try to uh, find the statistics for you and send it to you if that's more helpful. Let's see. Okay, I think that we don't have any more questions. If there are any more questions coming, that's great. I would just like to share just one more slide, um, because I feel that this is a good platform to talk about it and everybody should know. So, about depression, I know this was not our topic, but today something happened we probably have heard already. Today we lost a star who had a great future in front of him. He had his wins and he has succeeded, but he lost to life. And that is scary, because even after working so hard, you've reached with everybody, you've succeeded, and then you lose to life. That is not acceptable, and this should happen to no one. To no one. So there are a few things I just wanted to say. That is, please be there for people who need you. Follow your instincts. If you feel something is not right with somebody, go talk to that person. You can save someone's life there. I've been into the hospital system for the past 4 years. I've seen mental health patients. We do not treat mental health same as any other disease. So please go and talk to them. If you feel that, so when, if they're talking to you about their problems, please listen. Please be a good listener, because all they want is an outlet. Sometimes don't start telling मेरे साथ भी ये हुआ था और ये no, just stop and listen to them and let them say what they have to say. If you feel they should seek help, push them, send them for help. It will be helpful. At the end, you will be saving someone's life. Second, and I would like to say this to everyone, please then spread this to as many people as you know. Stop using depression in place of sadness or being upset. That, you know what, I'm feeling depressed today. No, you're feeling sad and you are upset. Depression is a disease. Upset and sadness is a feeling, and that is an emotion, and it's temporary. Maybe today, tomorrow, a week. But depression is chronic. You have to realize that if you use it synonymously with upset and sad, that reduces the impact of the word and how and the way we deal with it. We need to know that it is a very heavy term. If somebody uses that I am depressed, that means they have a disease. They need to go and show themselves to a doctor. And last, if you lose to life, it won't matter whether you won or succeeded. That's it. Like, the entire presentation today would come down to nothing if you lose to life. You have to be courageous. Life is not easy for everyone. And I'm too young to even say this, I guess. But like, you cannot lose so easily. When we have such big dreams, people who have big dreams, the dreams don't let you die actually. So please keep that in mind. And thank you again.
So this is for everybody. I would just continue Shreya's point here. Please reach out to your friends. Please feel free to talk to people you trust. And, please, even if you feel like there's nobody you can trust, please get that thing out of your heads. Talk to your friends. I know most of us, being millennials, we have this concept of friends being snakes. No, that doesn't exist. People are not that bad. You can always share your hearts out.
Yes.
So,
I think I have a
and
question.
yeah,
So it says, by Yashodhra Raina, as you said, it is difficult to cope when you change from, for example, engineering to law or any field. What is necessary for a person to keep in mind when you become underconfident sometimes? and question yourself, am I worth succeeding in the field that I have chosen now? All the time this question comes for so many from so many people, like my friends. So how do you know that the field that you will be choosing is the one that will make you successful? There is something known as the leap of faith. You should know that you should have faith in yourself first. If you can't trust yourself, forget about anybody else. Nobody can trust you because you're not trusting yourself first. Second, that faith. You have to have that faith that if it works out, it's great. Fine. If it doesn't work out, I should have a plan B. That's why I said that never leave what you're doing. Finish that so that you can fall on a strong backup. But always try for your dream. Always.
So there are two other questions pretty on the similar ground. So
Oh, I
they are
can't
by,
see those questions though,
yeah,
but go ahead.
that's why got me and Sakshi. How to remain motivated all the time? Because as a student, one tends to feel very anxious, and I mean, how to be motivated when you know on the you're on the right path, but you have to avoid procrastination.
Avoid procrastination. That's what your question. How to avoid that?
Yeah. So one of them is being motivated, and the other part is being how to avoid procrastination.
How to continually be motivated, right? And how to avoid procrastination.
Yeah.
First part, first, because there are two separate questions. First, for motivation, celebrate, celebrate your successes, because very important. You do something, 3 hour studies, great. But is studies everything in life? No. It like I used to follow what APJ Abdul Kalam sir said. I have met him personally, and he is a wonderful, wonderful man. What he said was that you will never miss that, like you will never, like when you grow old, you will never be like, I wish I had studied more or I had worked more. You will always be like, I wish I had bunked a class or I had had more fun. So motivation comes from fun. Did this so you can have those small goals for you. Like I can give you an example. Maybe like for me, if I have like exams coming up, and if I have like if I completed one section, okay, I ask my dad to, like, let's do something. I ask my mom, let's cook something, let's bake a cake. Fine.
That's exactly how I work too. So
Right.
I remember
So
this
that
habit
keeps
of
you motivated.
mine.
Okay, I finished this, I get this. It's like, okay, coming back to psychology, classical conditioning, associating your stimulus with reward. That is how you keep yourself. Second, procrastination, setting deadlines for yourself. Deadline will be given to you by an authority like your college or whatever, internship, your job, whatever. But setting deadlines for yourself and working towards it is a big thing. You keep that, I have to do it. So here's come the negative reinforcement again by Pavlov's. Go ahead and read him. It says that punish yourself for not doing the correct things, not meeting deadlines. I don't deserve that ice cream today, so I'm going back. But after so much ice cream, please work out. Don't just eat so much ice cream. But yeah, procrastination that way, keeping deadlines for yourself. Obviously, there are so many, use the technology. There are website blockers these days that you can use, that you can like just put the timer in and say that I'm not going to use YouTube or Facebook or something for say 12 hours. It will not let you open that. So use those, use the technology, it will help you. But yeah, the answer is deadlines.
Okay, so with that, we come to the end of questions
Perfect.
and probably the end of the webinar also. So before we end, I would like to thank everybody because of whom this webinar was possible. So first of all, I'd pay my gratitudes to you, Ms. Shreya,
Thank
so
you.
that you took out time from your schedule to address us all today. Next, I would like to thank my team comprising of Rotractor Sakshi, Rotractor Karan, Rotractor Aditya, Rotractor Shivani, and Rotractor Pratyush, who worked very hard for this webinar and made it look like what it is right now. It looked so graceful. And yeah,
Mhm.
all the dear audience, thank you for being so patient. And I hope this session helped you all and you have found answers to some of your questions. And we look forward to having you all for our next sessions as well.
Yes.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. You were a lovely audience. I love talking to all of you. Thank you.
So,
Bye.
goodbye.